Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so this is documents D and E. Sorry about the confusion over Zoom in class. Zoom was going to be required for the day. That was something when I reread Ms. Schlinker's email I gathered, and so I'm adapting and doing it this way. So this is a recording meant for you guys to look at after I introduce the Zoom class, and I'll be hanging around to answer any questions if you have them. So document D deals with selected African colonies and their imports. It's very important that you guys understand that when we're exports. When we're talking exports, these are goods. Oh boy. Didn't mean to go that route. From the country. So, or County, Wyoming, and Bighorn County is like bentonite, oil, etc. So what I want us to focus on here are these specific colonies, these six: Angola, Congo, Congo Free State, French West Africa, Rhodesia, South Africa, and I really struggle with this one. I think it's Tanganyika. All right, I've heard it pronounced, but like struggling with like the exact one. So these are several different types of resources that come from each of these countries. And then here on the DBQ, you have their uses. So I don't want to do this whole thing for you guys, but I do want us to kind of think critically and have it to where we understand the general gist, and you guys be able to answer these on your own. If you have any questions, please ask in Zoom or email, etc. So for document analysis, what European industries benefited from African resources? So we'd have to go through each of these one by one and kind of look through these industries overall and try to find some consensus here. So we got fabrics, we got soaps and candles, food processing, waterproof clothes, tires, insulation, cosmetic drugs, food products, soap, candles, other products, fabrics, food processing, coins, metal alloys, electric wiring, metal alloys, rust protection alloys, ammunition, fuel, banking, national currencies, jewelry, rope and twine, food processing, waterproof clothes, tires, all rubber again, fabric. So named quite a few. Lot to choose from. But like, let's say if I'm using my big old student brain here, I say along the lines of fabrics is a big one. And then the other one that I would say here is that I would focus on this idea of, especially if we're looking at the metal industry, specifically Rhodesia, these metal alloys. I'm okay with you guys picking literally anything here. Those are just the two that I picked. If you own a textile mill, which colony or colonies would you want your country to rule? Explain. Now, I would look at industries or economic uses that deal with specific fabrics. So, textile mill. Textile mill being a big point of this is that I feel like if I'm running a textile mill, that deals with certain things like cotton, wool, or there's other different types of fabric, but let's just focus on those two. So here's the thing about Britain, there's a lot of sheep. Okay, if you guys watched Clarkson's Farm recently, first season especially, there's a lot of sheep. So I'm focusing on this idea of cotton mainly. So Angola, French West Africa, and Tanganyika. Boom. Which colony or colonies, so let's keep like narrowing it down just a little bit. I would say that French West, quite a bit of other things going on that do promote synergy in other industries as well. So I will say French West Africa. I don't know why I ran and put an L at the end of Africa. I just drove my bus around. I'm tired. Anyway. 3, the age of imperialism fell right in the coattails of the Industrial Revolution. What is your connection between the two? I think you guys can make a reasonable assumption there. How would this document use to explain the primary cause of European imperialism in Africa? I would say number 3 helps you guys with number 4. We are moving on to E. So E is this degree at which there are Great British, South African exports and imports, okay? So, specifically, gray here is imports, black here is exports. So again, exports to or coming from a country. And then opposite, coming to a country. We import a lot of food goods here to Park County, Wyoming. Okay. Remember, natural. There's no place where cheese are manufactured and created. Those come from a plant elsewhere, bigger city. Think, probably a suburb, possibly of Denver or Los Angeles. This, guys, total in millions of British pounds. This means in money. Okay. So what I want us to think about with the first question, how much money did Great Britain make from exports to South Sahara Africa in 1854 and then in 1900? All right. So if I'm eyeballing here, I'd say exports, if I'm eyeballing here, that kind of looks like halfway. Let's maybe round up and say 1854 exports were 3 million. Sorry, M's lunched up there. And then if I'm looking at exports, it goes all the way up. Let's call that 21. All right. Number 2. Describe the difference between Great Britain's imports from and exports to Africa in 1854 and 1900, which experienced their rate of growth. All right, so I would say the overall imports were significantly more to the area. You're trying to get things going in 54. So 1854, imports and exports. If we're going with 1900, I think you guys can see the visual here, but let's fully address the question. 1900, more exports than imports, which experienced a higher growth. I would say that if I'm looking, I hope that this visual is clear to you guys, because 1900 growth between exports, and imports is higher. Now again, I want you guys to do these 3 at the bottom on your own. According to the chart, how was Great Britain benefiting from its colonies? Again, focus on the word exports. How could this document be used to explain an important cause of European imperialism in Africa? I think if you're looking at this in terms of the question from the start here, what was the driving force behind European imperialism in Africa? That is pretty clear to you when you compare 54 to 1900. Were economic more of a driving force behind European imperialism than national pride, than improved technology? So national pride, this is a reference to document B, I believe. Yes. So then when you go technology and imperialism, I think that this document overall, guys, highlights some advancements made and how those advancements help with imperialism. I feel like you can probably that imports and exports were quite the factor to consider. All right, that'll round me out at 12 minutes. If you guys have any questions, let me know.